We've now seen Geno Smith officially introduced as the new quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders, sitting alongside head coach PeteCarroll and front office executive JohnSpytek. And based on what we heard from Geno during that press conference, there's a lot to like. You can immediately tell he's a high-character guy. He's confident but not arrogant, focused but not flashy. Everything he said sounded like it came from someone who understands what it means to be a true leader at the quarterback position. There's humility there, and it makes sense when you look at his journey. Geno's path hasn't been easy. He spent years as a backup, bouncing from team to team, often just serving as a temporary option until a younger prospect took over. When he joined Seattle, he was firmly behind Russell Wilson on the depth chart, and he knew it. But he stayed, he worked, and after years of patience, he finally got his shot. And when that chance came, he delivered. He turned that opportunity into real success, and you can tell that process shaped him into the player and person he is today. What stood out most in that press conference were the things he said about where he sees this team going. You can feel his excitement, and as a fan, it's hard not to share that same energy. With the draft around the corner and the second wave of free agency to follow, there's still plenty to happen before week 1. But training camp will be here before we know it, and when the preseason kicks off, we'll start to see what this Raiders squad is made of. For the first time in a long time, it feels like the Raiders have a quarterback who can really take control, someone who can win games and potentially guide this team back to the playoffs. Geno Smith has proven he can do that. He's won double-digit games in recent seasons and just narrowly missed the playoffs last year after making it the 2 years prior. Now, Geno also mentioned a few current Raiders that he's excited to work with. One name that came up? Max Crosby. He talked about how Crosby sets the tone for the defense and how he wants to bring that same level of intensity to the offensive side of the ball. He wants to play hard every snap, leave everything on the field, and lead by example, just like Max does. That work ethic is already showing. Since arriving, Geno's been training in Miami, putting in reps with other players, working alongside coaches, and staying active both on and off the field. He's the type of guy who's up early, grinding, and setting a standard. And that kind of mentality is contagious. Just ask Jackson Powers-Johnson. He's been getting to the facility early with Max every day. And now, Geno's joining that same early riser crew. That level of commitment hasn't always been the norm in Vegas, but it's a welcome change. Geno also gave a shout-out to Jakobi Meyers, saying he's always admired his game and felt he was underrated. It's clear he's already forming connections with the guys around him. Bottom line, Geno Smith looks ready. Not just to take snaps, but to take on a leadership role. And if everything comes together, this season could be the start of something special for the Raiders. Geno Smith didn't just talk about his own role. He had high praise for the weapons around him, too. One name that stood out, Brock Bowers. According to Geno, Bowers is already one of the best tight ends in the league, and he's just getting started. Geno said helping Bowers continue to develop is a big part of his job, but he also believes Bowers will help him get better as well. And honestly, it's hard to disagree with that assessment. Bowers has all the tools to become a top 2 or top 3 tight end this season. He already flashes elite talent, but if he can build on what he's shown and stay consistent, he'll be right there with the league's best. It's similar to how we talk about top-tier offensive linemen, like Jackson Powers-Johnson or Paris Johnson Jr., guys who've shown greatness early, but need another strong year to be officially crowned elite. Geno seems to believe Bowers is on that same path. With veterans like Travis Kelce and George Kittle getting older and starting to show signs of slowing down, the door is wide open for Bowers to leap into that upper echelon. And yes, Trey McBride just landed a big contract and looks like the real deal, but there's a real chance Bowers passes him up this year. In fact, Geno's so confident in Bowers' breakout that it might be time to make some bold predictions. Here's one. Brock Bowers goes for at least 1,100 receiving yards this season. Realistically, he could push closer to 1,300, especially with Geno under center. Geno's not afraid to give his playmakers a chance. Those 50-50 balls, those tight window throws. Bowers is going to get opportunities that other quarterbacks might hesitate to give. And when Bowers gets his hands on those chances, he makes plays. We've already seen it. Let's stack some more predictions for the year while we're at it. Josh Allen throws for at least 3,700 yards. Patrick Mahomes hits 28 touchdowns or more. Marvin Harrison Jr. scores at least 7 receiving touchdowns, a solid number for his second season. And on the flip side, Jared Goff, We're taking the under. Don't expect 30 touchdowns from him this year. Now, switching gears, there's one more detail that recently came to light, and it sheds a lot of insight into Geno Smith's decision to join the Raiders. According to a report by Albert Breer, Geno received identical contract offers from both the Raiders and his former team, the Seahawks. That's right. Same money, same structure. So why the move? It came down to the direction each team was heading and the relationships that mattered most. Geno has a lot of respect for PeteCarroll. They've stayed in contact, even when Geno wasn't on the field. Whenever things got tough last season, Geno said Carroll was one of the first people he called. That's the kind of bond they had. But despite the respect and history, Geno felt like Seattle was looking ahead to a younger future. He didn't feel like he was truly the guy they were building around, and that matters. With the Raiders, he saw a different opportunity, one where he'd have a real chance to lead, to grow with a team that believes in him, and to take charge of an offense loaded with potential. That choice says a lot about Geno's mindset, and about where he thinks this Raiders team is headed. When Geno Smith chose the Raiders, it sent a clear message. He wants to win now. In Seattle, the writing was on the wall. The Seahawks were shifting into rebuild mode, moving on from veterans like Tyler Lockett, trading away DK Metcalf, and looking toward the future. Geno didn't want to be part of a reset. He wanted to compete for a Super Bowl. So even though both teams offered him the same contract, Geno chose the Raiders. And it wasn't just about money, it was about opportunity. The Raiders made their intentions clear. They're going all in to compete immediately, and Geno is a big part of that plan. But it's not just the front office that's excited. Players are fired up too. Max Crosby, the emotional leader of the defense, had a lot to say about Geno's arrival. On an episode of his podcast, The Rush, Crosby shared how he found out the news. Geno had this huge smile on his face. I asked him, "What's going on?" And he just said, "It's done. It's done." Man, I was hyped. I'm yelling on the phone. My wife's yelling. We're all excited. Geno was fired up, and we had a great conversation that day. It's a big deal, man. Crosby also mentioned that Geno was already in the building early that morning, knocking out physicals, meeting with staff, and getting to work. That kind of energy, it's contagious. But this move also has practical benefits. Adding Geno gives the Raiders flexibility heading into the draft. They don't have to force a quarterback pick now. They can build strategically, knowing they've got a proven veteran under center. And Crosby made another key point. Geno wins. He played some of his best football late last season, finishing strong in Seattle with a 10-win campaign. He's been counted out before, but as Crosby put it, they wrote him off. But he didn't write back. Geno's journey has been all about resilience, and that's the kind of mentality that fits perfectly with what the Raiders are building. It also seems like this move wasn't a surprise to the locker room. Based on Crosby's reaction and the fact that he just signed a contract extension, it's likely the Raiders kept him in the loop on their quarterback plans. He probably knew Geno was the guy they were targeting before the deal was official. That level of communication says a lot about how this organization is operating now. So when you add it all up, the leadership, the locker room chemistry, the front office's direction, it's no wonder Max Crosby was celebrating when Geno made it official. From the top down, this team is finally aligned. And for the first time in a long time, Raiders fans have real reason to believe that the offense will be fun to watch and competitive in every game. The Raiders are gearing up for a huge season and a huge draft. Not only do they have Geno Smith leading the offense, but the front office is making aggressive moves to build a real contender on both sides of the ball. The defensive line is ready to dominate, and now it's about finding the right young pieces to round out the roster. This week, the Raiders are hosting multiple top draft prospects, and the list of names is impressive. According to Ian Rappaport, the team is flying in players like Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty and Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers on Tuesday. That's just the start. The Raiders hold the 6th overall pick and the 37th pick in the second round, which gives them real leverage to land immediate impact players. And it sounds like they're making good use of their time. Tuesday marks the first day players officially report to the facility, and it looks like the Raiders are combining that with a major round of pre-draft visits. They're expected to bring in a group of 10 or more prospects, including Will Campbell, Mason Graham, and Charles Grant, a versatile offensive lineman who could play guard or tackle at the next level. This kind of coordinated effort, stacking prospect visits while veterans return to the building, shows just how focused the team is on building chemistry and momentum right away. Let's talk about Quinn Ewers for a second. The Texas quarterback is one of the most intriguing prospects in this draft. He's flashed NFL-level talent, but he's also had inconsistent stretches. Still, the raw upside is obvious. And get this, he reportedly turned down a $12 million NIL offer from Miami to stay in college. That alone tells you he's all in on becoming a pro. And the Raiders? They've clearly had their eyes on him for a while. They already met with him at the NFL Combine, and now they're bringing him in for a private visit. No, he's not a pick at number 6, but at number Sam Sibsil? That's where you find quarterbacks with upside who may need a year to develop behind a vet like Geno. So whether it's Ewers or someone else, the Raiders are seriously exploring that QB2 option for the future. And as much as fans love to speculate about big names like ShedeurSanders or JacksonDart, the team seems more focused on value picks, guys they can mold into long-term starters. Here's how I'd personally approach it if I were in the war room. Pick 6. Take a dynamic wide receiver, someone who can stretch the field and open up this offense. Pick 37. Grab a running back or quarterback with high upside. 3rd round, solidify the offensive line. Maybe a guard who can start right away or provide interior depth. Bottom line, the Raiders have the draft capital, the veteran presence, and the front office alignment to make real noise this offseason. And if they hit on these picks, we're looking at a team that's not just competitive, but dangerous. Style cover 3, which favors taller, longer corners. Jones was never going to be an ideal fit. Look at the guys the Raiders are bringing in. Eric Stokes is a prime example. Even Jeremy Chin, though he's more of a safety, fits that mold. Long, rangy, physical defenders. Jack Jones, he's on the smaller side. And in this system, that matters. So yeah, it's disappointing to see him go. But with a new quarterback, a fresh draft class, and a refined defensive identity, the Raiders are building towards something bigger. And sometimes that means letting go of players who just don't fit the future. Now, just to clarify, Jeremy Chin isn't coming in to play safety for the Raiders. He's going to be used more like a linebacker, playing close to the line of scrimmage, handling slot duties, and operating in those big dime packages. He'll line up in the box a lot more than he ever will deep as a post safety. And that right there shows us what kind of defense the Raiders are building. This is the PeteCarroll influence starting to take shape. Physical, aggressive, versatile defenders who can move across the 2nd and 3rd levels. And truthfully, Jack Jones just didn't fit that vision. It's no knock on him. It's just not the right scheme for his skill set. Jack actually posted a thank you message on Twitter saying, "Appreciate you, RaiderNation. It's all love." So shout out to Jack Jones. Here's hoping he finds success wherever he lands next. Now, people have speculated a lot about the real reason behind his release, some pointing to his effort, others questioning his football IQ. There's a rumor I heard from someone who's not an insider, but does have close ties to players. He mentioned hearing from someone in the know that effort and prep may have been an issue. Is that 100% confirmed? Number. But when there's smoke, there's usually something there. Regardless, that chapter is closed. And now, it's time to move forward, because the new season officially begins tomorrow. Today, players are just checking in, going through logistics. But tomorrow, that's the real start. Day 1 of the offseason program. Players will be in the building, watching film, beginning installs, getting the first real taste of what Chip Kelly's offense is going to look like. And that matters a lot. Because before you can run a route, you've got to understand why you're running it. Before a quarterback hits a window, he's got to know how it opens. That starts with tape. That starts with learning the system, with studying, with building chemistry. If you're a football junkie, like me, and I know many of you are, you get it. This is when the real work begins. So let me know in the comments. What do you think about Geno Smith? What are your thoughts on the Raiders draft strategy? And how are you feeling with day 1 of the new season about to kick off? Big things are coming. Let's talk about it.